First contact and false assumptions. The Meridian Alliance had ruled the galaxy's inner spiral for over 2,000 years. Comprised of 17 advanced species, their technology was the envy of countless civilizations. Their ships were marvels of engineering, vast crystalline structures that manipulated gravitational fields as easily as a child might splash water in a pond. Their weapons could destabilize atomic bonds, their shields could withstand supernova, and their computational systems operated on principles that transcended conventional physics. Supreme Commander Ezra Vex stood on the observation deck of the Triumphant Light, the Meridian Alliance's flagship. Her tall, willowy frame cast a long shadow across the polished floor as she gazed at the holographic display of a small, unremarkable blue planet. "So this is Earth," she said, her voice carrying the melodic tones of her Valaxian heritage. "Hardly seems worth the detour." Science Director Keller approached, his 4 arms each holding different data tablets. The Suveri were known for their multitasking abilities and analytical minds. "Our long-range scans indicate they've achieved basic interplanetary travel," Commander Keller reported. "Primitive fusion engines, rudimentary shield technology, and weapons systems that rely primarily on kinetic principles rather than energy manipulation." Vex's iridescent eyes narrowed. "And yet they've managed to avoid the harvester plagues that decimated the Outer Rim colonies. Interesting. Likely just fortunate positioning," Keller dismissed. "They're isolated in this spiral arm. The harvesters simply haven't found them yet." Diplomatic envoy Mira Tal joined them, her holographic form shimmering slightly as it stabilized. As a Lumidian, she existed primarily as a sentient energy pattern, using holographic projectors to interact with physical beings. "The Council believes they may have potential," Mira said. "Their development curve is steep, even if they're centuries behind our technological baseline. Standard protocol suggests formal contact and assessment for potential membership." Vex made a dismissive gesture. "Very well. Prepare a diplomatic vessel. I'll assess these humans myself." 3 days later, Earth received its first official visitors from beyond the solar system. The arrival of the Meridian vessel caused global sensation. Hovering above the United Nations headquarters in New York, the Alliance ship outshone the sun itself, its crystalline structure refracting light in hypnotic patterns. The meeting took place in a hastily prepared conference room. Admiral Helena Chen represented Earth's combined defense force, alongside Dr. Sanjay Kapoor, the UN Secretary-General, and various political and military leaders from major nations. They sat across from Supreme Commander Vex and her entourage of Alliance representatives. "We welcome you to Earth," Dr. Kapoor began, his voice steady despite the historic significance of the moment. "This first contact represents a profound milestone for humanity." Vex inclined her head slightly. "The Meridian Alliance extends greetings to your world. We have observed your civilization's development and believe you may benefit from formal recognition and limited technological exchange." Admiral Chen watched the aliens carefully. At 57, she had commanded Earth's orbital defense platforms for over a decade. Something about Vex's tone bothered her, the subtle condescension, the implicit hierarchy being established. "We're eager to learn about the broader galactic community," Chen said. "Our deep space monitoring stations have detected unusual energy signatures in nearby systems. Is there something we should be concerned about?" A flicker of surprise crossed Vex's features. "Your sensors detected activities in neighboring systems. Perhaps they're more advanced than we assessed." She recovered quickly. "Minor border disputes with non-alliance species. Nothing that need concern a developing world such as yours." The meeting continued for hours. The Alliance representatives shared carefully selected information about galactic politics, technological thresholds for various membership tiers, and the protection they could offer Earth. Through it all, their attitude remained one of benevolent superiority. When the Alliance delegation toured Earth's orbital shipyards, their condescension became more overt. "These vessels are quaint," Science Director Keller remarked, examining Earth's most advanced destroyer. The metallurgical techniques alone are at least 3 centuries behind current Alliance standards, and your propulsion systems rely on reaction mass. How? Inefficient. Admiral Chen smiled tightly. We make do with what we have, Director. Of course, Keller said, patting her shoulder as one might console a child. The Alliance can provide significant upgrades once your membership application is processed. Tier 3 technology access would advance your capabilities by at least a century. Chen nodded politely but said nothing. Later, after the Alliance delegation had returned to their vessel, Chen met with Dr. Kapoor and General Williams in a secure facility beneath the Himalayan mountains. Unlike the public orbital facilities shown to the aliens, this complex housed Earth's true military command. Well? Williams asked, his weathered face grim. Chen removed her uniform jacket, revealing a slender metallic device on her wrist. She pressed a sequence of buttons, and a holographic display filled the room with detailed scans of the Alliance vessel. Their technology is impressive, but not incomprehensible, she said. The quantum scanners worked perfectly. We have complete schematics of their propulsion and weapon systems. Dr. Kapoor frowned. Do you think they detected our active scans? Highly unlikely, Chen replied. Project Shadowfall was designed specifically for this scenario. The quantum entanglement scanning leaves no trace. We're essentially observing without interaction. Williams studied the schematics. Their defenses are formidable. Energy-based shields that would make our conventional weapons useless. But not our unconventional ones, Chen pointed out. The phase-shift torpedoes should bypass their shields entirely. They're designed to defend against energy attacks, not weapons that can temporarily shift out of normal spacetime. Kapoor paced the room. I don't understand why they're being so patronizing. If they've observed us, they must know we've made significant technological leaps in the past 50 years. They see what they expect to see, Chen said simply. We've been careful to maintain appearances. Our public technologies, the ones we've allowed them to scan, are deliberately outdated. Operation Masquerade has been in effect since we detected their first probes 10 years ago. Williams nodded. And what's your assessment of their true intentions, Admiral? Chen's expression hardened. They're not here to welcome us into some galactic brotherhood. They're assessing whether we're a potential threat or a useful resource. That talk of Tier 3 technology access is just a polite way of ensuring we remain dependent and controllable. You think they might become hostile? Kapoor asked. I think we need to be prepared for any possibility, Chen replied. But more importantly, we need to maintain our facade of technological inferiority. Let them underestimate us. It may be our greatest advantage. For the next 6 months, Earth engaged in careful diplomatic dance with the Meridian Alliance. Limited cultural exchanges took place, and a small Alliance outpost was established in Earth orbit. Throughout these interactions, humans maintained their appearance as an eager, somewhat naive species grateful for Alliance guidance. Behind this public face, Earth's hidden military installations worked feverishly. The quantum scans of Alliance technology had accelerated human research by decades. New weapons were tested in secret facilities beyond Neptune, and the true extent of Earth's fleet, concealed in underwater bases and camouflaged lunar installations, continued to grow. Then came the day everything changed. Alliance communications suddenly went silent. The orbital outpost received urgent encrypted transmissions, and within hours, the Alliance representatives were evacuating, offering hurried excuses about administrative recalls. Admiral Chen was awakened at 300 hours by an emergency alert. When she reached the command center, she found Dr. Kapoor already there, his face ashen. We've intercepted their communications, he said without preamble. Something called the Quantum Swarm has attacked 3 Alliance core worlds. Their defensive fleets have been decimated. Chen studied the translated transcripts. The swarm, is this the minor border dispute they mentioned? Williams joined them, his uniform hastily donned. We've got visual confirmation from our deep space arrays. It's unlike anything we've seen. The display showed Alliance worlds under attack. Vast clouds of what appeared to be metallic insects swarmed around planets and ships alike, consuming everything they touched. Alliance weapons seemed ineffective, their energy beams simply absorbed by the swarm entities. Their weapons aren't working, Chen observed. Energy-based attacks are being neutralized somehow. There's more, Kapoor said grimly. We've detected a swarm force on a direct course for the Sol system. Estimated arrival: 2 weeks. Chen's mind raced. The Alliance didn't warn us. They're pulling out to protect their core worlds and leaving us to fend for ourselves. As if to confirm her assessment, the Alliance outpost in Earth orbit suddenly powered up its engines and departed without any formal communication, accelerating rapidly toward the system's edge. So much for galactic brotherhood, Williams muttered. For 3 days, silence reigned. Then, unexpectedly, a damaged Alliance vessel limped into the solar system. It was a mid-sized cruiser, its crystalline structure fractured in multiple places. Earth's defense platforms tracked its approach cautiously. A communication arrived from the vessel. Supreme Commander Vex's face appeared on the main screen, her usually immaculate appearance now marred by injuries and exhaustion. Earth Command, she began, her voice strained. The Meridian Alliance formally requests emergency assistance. The quantum swarm has overwhelmed our defenses at Proxima Centauri. Our colony world there has 15 million civilians with no means of evacuation. She hesitated, pride warring with desperation. I implore you to help, however limited your capabilities might be. Any resistance against the swarm would buy time for our evacuation ships to reach the colony. The transmission ended. Chen, Williams, and Kapoor exchanged glances. They're asking us to sacrifice our limited ships as a delaying action, Williams said bitterly, while they evacuate their people and leave ours to face the swarm alone afterward, Kapoor added. Chen was silent for a long moment. Then a slow, determined smile spread across her face. No, she said, this is exactly the opportunity we've been waiting for. Send word to activate all Phantom Fleet units. It's time to show the Meridian Alliance exactly what humanity is capable of. Revelation and Redemption. Supreme Commander Ezra Vex stood on the bridge of her damaged cruiser, the Resilient Truth, watching the primitive human vessels approach. After her desperate plea for help, Earth had responded with a fleet of 20 ships, small, angular vessels that looked woefully inadequate against the horror of the quantum swarm. They actually came, murmured Science Director Keller, his voice a mixture of surprise and pity. Those vessels won't last 30 seconds against the swarm. Mira Tal's holographic form flickered beside them. Their sensor capabilities must be too limited to understand what they're facing. Perhaps we should warn them more explicitly. Vex's pride had already been wounded by having to ask these primitives for help. Now, watching their doomed ships approach, she felt a pang of guilt. Open a channel, she ordered. I should at least explain the true nature of the threat. Before her communications officer could comply, the human vessels did something unexpected. Their formation suddenly shifted with a precision that caught Vex's attention. Then, more surprisingly, they accelerated to speeds that should have been impossible for ships with their supposedly primitive propulsion systems. What? Keller began, but his words died as the sensor readings flooded in. Commander, I'm detecting massive energy spikes from the human vessels. On the main view screen, the Earth ships were transforming. Outer hull panels retracted, revealing sleek, advanced designs beneath. What had appeared to be primitive chemical thrusters were now glowing with contained plasma fields that warped space-time around them. Weapon ports opened along previously smooth surfaces, revealing systems that Meridian sensors struggled to classify. This is Admiral Helena Chen of Earth Combined Defense Force, came a calm voice over the communication system. Supreme Commander Vex, please move your vessel to the coordinates we're transmitting. We'll handle the swarm. Vex stood speechless, watching as the human fleet accelerated toward the approaching swarm advance units. The transformation had been complete. Gone were the crude, boxy ships they dismissively evaluated months earlier. In their place flew vessels that rivaled or exceeded Alliance technology. "They deceived us," Keller whispered. "All this time." "No," Vex replied, sudden understanding dawning. "We deceived ourselves. We saw what we expected to see." The quantum swarm came into visual range, a seething cloud of metallic organisms that moved with a terrible collective intelligence. Where conventional matter existed, the swarm consumed, breaking down ships, stations, even planets into constituent atoms to create more of itself. Alliance weapons had proven increasingly ineffective as the swarm adapted to energy-based attacks. The human vessels spread out in a three-dimensional formation that seemed almost choreographed. Then they opened fire. Instead of energy beams, the Earth ships launched what appeared to be physical projectiles, missiles and kinetic penetrators that streaked toward the swarm. Keller scoffed. "Physical weapons against the swarm. That's even more primitive than we thought." His derision turned to amazement as the projectiles struck the leading edge of the swarm cloud. Instead of being consumed, the missiles detonated in synchronized patterns, creating overlapping fields of what sensor readings identified as quantum disruption waves. Where these fields touched the swarm, the metallic organisms didn't just die. They disintegrated, their adaptive molecular structures collapsing into inert matter. "Impossible," Keller breathed. "They're targeting the quantum entanglement that allows the swarm to function as a collective." On the tactical display, the human fleet executed a maneuver that should have been beyond their coordination capabilities. Their ships rotated in perfect synchronization, unleashing a second wave of weapons, these appearing to be some form of modified railgun technology that accelerated projectiles to near-relativistic speeds. The hypervelocity rounds tore through the swarm's remaining front line, creating channels of destruction. More remarkably, wherever these projectiles passed, they left trails of nanoscale particles that seemed to prevent the swarm from reconstituting itself. "Antimatter containment fields with dispersal mechanisms," Mira observed. "They're creating dead zones in the swarm's ability to communicate between units." Vex watched in stunned silence as the supposedly primitive humans systematically dismantled the most terrifying enemy the Alliance had faced in centuries. Their tactics weren't just effective. They were revolutionary, approaching the problem from angles the Alliance had never considered. 3 human ships broke from the main formation, accelerating directly toward the densest concentration of swarm units. Vex expected to see them overwhelmed, but instead, the vessels activated some form of phase shift technology that allowed them to pass through the swarm's outer defenses untouched. Once inside, they deployed what sensors identified as gravitational singularity generators, creating localized distortions that crushed swarm units by the thousands while leaving the fabric of space-time intact once deactivated. "Their technology," Keller stammered. "It's not just equivalent to ours. In some areas, it's beyond anything in our theoretical frameworks." Vex's tactical training kicked in as she analyzed the human battle strategy. They're not just fighting with advanced technology. Their entire approach is different from ours. We've always relied on overwhelming force, bigger ships, more powerful weapons. They're using precision, adaptability, and targeted weaknesses. The battle continued for nearly 3 hours. Throughout the engagement, Admiral Chen's voice remained calm over the communication channels, directing her fleet with ruthless efficiency. Not a single human vessel was lost, though several sustained damage from swarm counterattacks. Finally, the last concentrated mass of swarm units was contained within a field of quantum disruption waves and systematically destroyed. The remaining scattered organisms, cut off from their collective intelligence, were easily picked off by precision weapons fire. As the human fleet regrouped, a larger vessel emerged from behind Jupiter's shadow, a massive carrier that dwarfed even the Alliance flagship. It moved with impossible grace for its size, joining the smaller vessels. "Supreme Commander Vex," came Admiral Chen's voice again. "The immediate threat has been neutralized. We're deploying containment buoys around the system perimeter that will detect and destroy any remaining swarm units. Your colony at Proxima Centauri has been secured by our second fleet. 15 million civilians are safe." Vex found her voice at last. "Your second fleet?" "Yes. We dispatched them directly when we received your distress call. The Proxima colony is now under Earth protection. We're establishing a quantum disruption perimeter to prevent further swarm incursions." Vex exchanged glances with her officers, each face showing the same mixture of relief, gratitude, and profound reevaluation. "Admiral Chen," Vex said formally, "the Meridian Alliance owes humanity a debt that cannot be adequately expressed. I must also offer my personal apology for our previous assessment of your capabilities." There was a pause before Chen responded, and Vex thought she detected a hint of amusement in the human's voice. "No apology necessary, Commander. We found it useful to be underestimated." 2 days later, Vex stood in Earth's true military command center beneath the Himalayan mountains. The facility was a marvel of engineering that put many Alliance installations to shame. Holographic displays showed the status of human fleet deployments throughout the solar system and beyond. "You've had faster-than-light capabilities for how long?" Keller asked, still struggling to process what they were seeing. General Williams smiled slightly. "Officially, we don't. Unofficially, about 25 years. But the ships you showed us during our inspection were exactly what we wanted you to see," Admiral Chen interrupted gently. "Operation Masquerade has been our standard protocol for first contact scenarios for decades. We show limited technology until we can assess intentions and capabilities." Vex nodded slowly, a new respect evident in her expression. "A wise precaution, one the Alliance should perhaps have implemented ourselves." Dr. Kapoor joined them, bringing holographic projections of swarm analysis. "We've been studying the quantum swarm for some time. Our deep space monitoring detected their activities years ago. That's why we developed specific countermeasures." "But why maintain the deception after formal diplomatic relations were established?" Mira asked. "You could have shared these technologies with the Alliance. Together, we might have stopped the swarm before it claimed so many lives." Chen and Kapoor exchanged glances. It was Williams who answered. "Humanity's history is complicated. We've learned hard lessons about trust and power dynamics. When your representatives spoke of Tier 3 technology access and developing species status, it confirmed our concerns about how the Alliance views non-member worlds." Vex couldn't deny the accusation. The Alliance system is designed to maintain stability. Controlled technological advancement prevents chaos. It also creates dependency and preserves power hierarchies, Chen observed. "We chose a different path." Kapoor brought up a new display, star charts showing human exploration beyond the solar system. "We've established colonies on 17 worlds across 8 star systems, all hidden using the same technologies that concealed our true capabilities from your scans." The Alliance representatives stared at the display in shock. The extent of human expansion went far beyond anything they had imagined. "How?" Keller began. "Your population records indicated barely enough people to maintain Earth itself." Williams smiled. "Those records were part of the Masquerade, Director. Earth currently supports 12 billion humans. Our colonial populations add another 6 billion. Vex processed this information, her tactical mind reassessing everything she thought she knew about humanity. "And now, what are your intentions regarding the Alliance?" Admiral Chen's expression softened slightly. "We have no hostile intent, Commander. We never did. But we will not accept a subordinate status based on false assumptions about our capabilities. If the Alliance wishes to establish genuine diplomatic relations, as equals, we're prepared to discuss mutual defense against threats like the swarm. The Council will need to create an entirely new framework," Vex said, thinking aloud. "Nothing in our existing protocols addresses a situation like this." "Perhaps that's overdue," Mira suggested. Our encounters with the swarm have exposed weaknesses in Alliance defensive doctrine. Human approaches to problem-solving clearly offer advantages we hadn't considered. Keller had been examining displays showing the quantum disruption technology that had proven so effective against the swarm. This alone could save billions of lives across Alliance space. The theoretical foundations are elegant. I would very much like to collaborate with your scientists. Over the next several days, as Alliance and Earth representatives began formal negotiations for a new type of partnership, Vex found herself increasingly impressed by humanity. It wasn't just their technology or military capabilities that commanded respect. It was their adaptability, their innovative thinking, and their balanced approach to advancement. Where Alliance species specialized and optimized according to rigid doctrines, humans remained generalists, maintaining flexibility across multiple domains. Their hierarchies were more fluid, their decision-making more distributed, allowing for faster adaptation to changing circumstances. 1 month later, as the joint Earth Alliance fleet prepared to depart for a coordinated campaign against the main swarm concentration, Vex stood with Chen on the observation deck of the Triumphant Light, now repaired and upgraded with human quantum disruption technology. The Alliance Council has ratified the Mutual Defense Accord, Vex informed her. For the first time in our history, we've established a partnership with a non-member world on equal terms. Chen nodded, watching as the combined fleet moved into formation. Human vessels flew alongside Alliance ships, their complementary technologies creating a force more powerful than either civilization could have fielded alone. The swarm won't be expecting our combined capabilities, Chen said. Their adaptive algorithms won't be able to counter both our approaches simultaneously. Vex smiled, a genuine expression rarely seen on her usually composed features. I suspect there are many things in this galaxy that aren't prepared for what humanity and the Alliance can accomplish together. As the fleet prepared for faster-than-light jump, Vex reflected on how profoundly her perspective had changed. The supposedly primitive, insignificant humans had not only saved Alliance worlds, but had forced a 2,000-year-old civilization to re-examine its fundamental assumptions. Perhaps that, more than any technology or tactical advantage, was humanity's greatest strength, the ability to make others see the universe through new eyes. The order was given, and the combined fleet vanished into the darkness of space, united against a common enemy, embarking on a new chapter for both civilizations.